Do you ever find yourself lying awake at night thinking about everything you have to do tomorrow? Or maybe the thought about going to work the next day won't let your brain shut down no matter how tired you are? If this sounds familiar, you're certainly not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Esra Shermadou. I'm a board-certified family medicine physician, and in this video, we're talking all about stress and what it does to your body, emotionally, physically, and hormonally. We'll talk about the science, the symptoms, and most importantly, what you can do to manage it. So, what is stress? When we talk about stress, we can categorize it into two groups, acute and chronic. Acute stress is like your body's natural alarm system. It helps you navigate your environment and respond appropriately to different stressors in the moment, such as a nearing deadline, conflicts at home or work, or simply fighting the common cold. It's not inherently bad because it helps us survive. If acute stressors occur repeatedly over time, it transitions into chronic stress, which is like that low level, always on stress or pressure. And this is where things start to go a little sideways. At the center of all this is a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol often tends to get a bad rap, but inherently it isn't bad. We need it to wake up, to focus, to survive. In fact, cortisol plays several important roles in the body. It helps regulate our blood pressure, supports blood sugar control, reduces inflammation in the short term, and helps convert food into usable energy. The challenge isn't that cortisol exists. It's when it's constantly elevated over time that it begins to interfere with other systems like sleep, digestion, hormones, and even our immune response. All right, let's talk about sleep. When stress is chronic, cortisol stays elevated even at night when it's supposed to be low. This disrupts your natural sleep rhythm, so you can't fall asleep, or you end up waking up completely wired at 3 a.m. If this sounds familiar, a simple bedtime routine can make a big difference. Start winding down about 30 minutes to an hour before bed. That means turning off all screens because the blue light can throw off your melatonin levels and disrupt your natural sleep-wake cycle. Instead, dim the lights, do some light stretching, journal your thoughts, or read something calming to help your body shift into rest mode. Now let's talk about stress and heart health. Stress, whether acute or chronic, can have a significant impact on your cardiovascular system. Most people are familiar with the fight or flight response, that sympathetic nervous system activation that raises your heart rate, increases blood pressure, and shifts blood flow away from key organs like the heart and kidneys. Over time, if this stress remains consistently elevated, it can contribute to inflammation, narrowing of blood vessels, and increases the risk for high blood pressure, arrhythmias, or even heart attacks, especially if you have underlying cardiovascular risk factors. But here's something that's not often talked about. Stress can also trigger an inhibitory response, especially when the limbic system is involved. This is the part of your brain that processes emotions and helps regulate your autonomic nervous system. In those cases, the parasympathetic system may become overly activated, leading to a sudden drop in heart rate, reduced heart contractility, lower blood pressure, and even brief disruptions in the heart's normal rhythm. So while we often think of stress as overstimulating the body, it can also suppress certain systems in complex and sometimes dangerous ways. That's why managing stress isn't just about feeling calm. It's about creating stability in how your body responds, both in the short term and long term. Simple tools like deep breathing, movement, or even quiet reflection can help bring your nervous system back to balance, whether it's overstimulated or overly suppressed. Even just 5 minutes of intentional breathing can help regulate your heart rate and support long-term cardiovascular health. All right, now let's talk about how stress affects the gut. The gut and the brain are deeply connected, so it's no surprise that stress shows up in our digestion. Stress can impact the entire GI tract in a few key ways. First, it can affect appetite, causing some people to overeat and others to lose their desire to eat altogether. This response is tied to parts of the brain like the amygdala and reward pathways, and it varies from person to person. Second, stress changes how the gut functions on a physical level. It can disrupt stomach acid and mucus production, altering nutrient absorption and increasing intestinal permeability, what some call a leaky gut. This means that your body may become more sensitive to certain foods, or even prone to inflammation or flare-ups of previous gut issues like IBS or colitis. Stress also activates mast cells in the gut, which release chemicals that affect digestion and trigger inflammation. This can worsen symptoms like bloating, cramping, or irregular bowel movements. The good news is that calming the nervous system also helps the gut. Things like mindful eating and giving yourself time to slow down can make a big difference in how your gut responds to stress. Now let's turn to how stress affects some of our hormones. When cortisol stays elevated for too long, it starts to interfere with the body's delicate hormonal balance. In men, chronic stress suppresses the hormone signaling from the brain to the testes, which over time leads to decreased testosterone production. This can manifest in lower energy and motivation, decreased libido, increased abdominal fat, and muscle loss. Cortisol also competes with testosterone at the cellular level, making tissues less responsive to the testosterone that is present. In women, chronic stress can disrupt communication between the brain and the ovaries, which can result in irregular periods or missed cycles, more intense PMS or PMDD symptoms, fatigue, or brain fog. In both men and women, high cortisol reduces insulin sensitivity and increases circulating glucose. This can contribute to belly fat, sugar cravings, and changes to our metabolism. Now again, this is not to cause fear in cortisol. Cortisol is meant to rise and fall within your body's natural rhythms. It's the constant elevation without enough recovery that throws the system off. But the good news, hormones can recalibrate. With the right support, your brain and body can return to a healthier rhythm. So what do we do about all this? The good news is that you don't need a 20-step plan to overcome stress. You just need 1 or 2 stress-reducing habits that work for you and help your body calm down. Start with breath work. Try a few repetitions of deep breathing. Move your body. Even a 5-minute walk helps lower cortisol. Practice mindfulness, journaling, prayer, or just sitting still. Talk to someone, laugh. Find something that works for you. Stress is part of life, and that's normal. We need stress. It helps us grow, but we also need recovery. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, pause, breathe. One small change can shift everything. If you found this video helpful, make sure that you like and subscribe and share this with a friend who needs to hear this. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you next time.